last little bit of preparations going on. Everybody just trying to get in gear. Some riders getting fired up. Some riders, Ricky Carmichael saying yesterday, he likes to stay nice and calm. Doesn't want to get the heart rate up too much. Stay chilled out so he doesn't override the machine. And that is something that we don't talk about enough, the ability to override. We say ride as hard as you can, but sometimes you can override the machine, especially here on these ATVs. You see them sliding the back end around. Sometimes they slide just a little too far. They end up losing a ton of momentum. So got to be picture perfect. And one guy that was picture perfect all season long last year, Joel Hetrick. I think everybody going to have their eyes on the Phoenix Racing Yamaha, the #1.
Yeah, he is now the most winning rider in ATV MX history. He is going to be a tough contender for the rest of the field. We'll see. Is he going to be able to come out on top here at the first race of the year? It is anybody's game here today. It is anybody's year here in 2025. We'll see. Could we see Joel Hetrick's streak end here today? The 11th annual ATV Supercross is off and rolling.
There we go. A great jump from the number 15, but look at the drive the #1 of Joel Hetrick gets. Oh, this is not what the rest of the field wanted to see. Joel Hetrick grabbing the whole shot and out front early.
Flying into turn #1 and turn #2. Problems for one of our riders there, having to turn that machine around. He is going to go to dead last. It looks like Ford in that bright yellow gear is going to be in second once again.
Ford in 2. Chad Wienen in the #3 spot. Good to see him with a solid jump. We'll see whether or not they're going to be able to chase down your early race leader, Joel Hetrick, as they make their way through the far rhythm section for the first time.
And here we go, going to check in for the first time with 1 lap complete. Already see it, Zach. Look how much roost those machines can throw when they make their way over those berms. The green flag flies for Joel Hetrick.
Absolutely on fire. Into that pro-only section they go. Hard on the binders right before that big wall jump. Got to get things slowed down and then immediately ratchet it right back up. Full speed, triple through that rhythm section for all of our top pros, and then launching into the deep Daytona sand. With a lap in the books, it is Joel Hetrick out front leading the way. Bryce Ford, Chad Wienen, Jeffrey Rastrelli, and Brandon Hogue 1 through 5. Kevin Sarr, Joseph Chambers, Joey Norris, Max Lindquist, and Zach Decker. Your top 10 on lap #1.
On screen going to be your leader, Joel Hetrick, followed closely by Bryce Ford. Hetrick making his way out of North Carolina. Ford out of Texas.
Man, Joel Hetrick doing such a great job of creating a wide entry into that split line section, almost going into the starting gate ruts as he pitched off that Yamaha into the first section of corners. And you can see him starting to open things up. But I'll be honest, Bryce Ford not letting him get away. Excited to see what these lap times show. A 1:01.7 to a 1:02.1. So just about half a second or so for Bryce Ford. But he's going to need more than that to keep the #1 at bay and make a pass.
No doubt, Joel Hetrick absolutely flying here in this one, sitting 1.3 seconds ahead in the lead of Bryce Ford. 2 seconds back from Ford is going to be Wienen, and then not even 1 second going to separate Wienen and Rastrelli, and looks like problems for Decker.
Man, Decker, who was sitting in, I believe, just outside the top 10, or maybe just inside the top 10, going to be shuffling back a few spots. Oh, man, look at how hard Bryson Ford landed. Almost kissed the front of the machine when he came down, and you can see it cost him maybe a quarter of a second or so.
And this one's still not over by any means, Zach. Bryce Ford hanging in there. Only a few bike links separate them, maybe 4 or 5 bike links, as they make their way back into this straightaway, head into the finish line. One more time, this will be 3 laps complete now.
The #4 of Ford, he's got the #1 in sight, but is he going to be able to do anything with it? As now we see Chad Wienen still checks in the #2 spot. Or excuse me, in the #3 spot with Jeffrey Rastrelli 1.4 seconds behind in 4th. Brandon Hogue now moves up to the #5 position. Look at the body positioning of Joel Hetrick, absolutely perfect the entire time. Lands off these jumps, and you can't even tell that he took an impact. Bryce Ford, we saw on this wall jump they're about to go over a lap ago, got just a little far on the front end, didn't have the drive when he landed, and really slumped down afterwards, able to much stronger landing that time around. You see how hard, Mikey, they're on the outside, slideways to the inside, and Hetrick just doing it better than the rest.
I mean, it's one of those things. You go into a corner, and I think Rastrelli was kind of alluding to it. You know, not a lot of room in your interview with him, not a lot of room for passing. If somebody's going to make a pass, it is going to have to be something pretty daggone aggressive at this point.
And it also seems like you're going to have to be right there. You can't be a bike length or even two back and be able to all of a sudden make something happen. You got to be essentially touching the back number plate to be able to cut down underneath. And Hetrick not interested in any of that. He says, can't pass me if you can't catch me.
That's it, man. And it's one of those things, too. You can't rely on the guy in front of you making a mistake. And especially when that guy's name is Joel Hetrick.
Man,
I heard Jackson mention it earlier. We talked about last season, a historical season for him, and now the all-time wins leader in ATV motocross as well.
And like Zach was saying earlier in those interviews, a quick turnaround for these guys. Decker Training Facility is going to be the next stop, March 8th, this coming up Saturday. And then they're going to be headed to Etchiconee MX in Georgia, March 29th. So not much time for these guys to recover before they head to round number 2.
Yeah, absolutely. Going to be a very quick turnaround, and that's why we see this even at GNCC, limiting between rounds 2 and 3, not overexerting yourself. And one of the things that we touched on in all forms of racing is not taking a decent day and turning it into a bad day. If you're Chad Wienen, if you're Bryce Ford, Chad Wienen, probably a great example, not able to continue racing after this race last year. Biggest thing for him, hey, let's get out of here. Let's still be in the fight. A third place, not a bad day.
Not at all. Not at all. Rastrelli's checked in 4th. Brandon Hogue 5th. Kevin Sarr in the number 6 spot. Joey Norris, if I'm not mistaken, I think Joey Norris rookie season.
Possibly.
I believe. Joey Chambers in the number 8 spot. Max Lindquist in 9th. And WW Wesley Wolf rounding out the top 10. Fun fact for you guys, it was before you joined us with GNCC, Wesley Wolf used to pull double duty, race pro class at GNCC, and then go race pro class in ATV MX. Good dude, good family.
Absolutely, yeah. We've seen a couple of crossovers. Joel Hetrick's joined us a few times at GNCC. John Glada Jr. over here to ATV MX. So the crossover is there, but man, as far as tip of the spear, just cream of the crop, Joel Hetrick, I don't know of anybody that's able to do what you're seeing right now. Even Bryson Neal, his teammate, when we talked to him, he's like, man, that guy's just on a whole different level.
It's insane. Talked about that a little bit earlier during Vintage Bikes as we watched Joel Hetrick, Poetry in Motion. But it's one of those things, whether it's ATV MX, you know, Chad Wienen was this guy for a while. Now it's Joel Hetrick. We've seen it in ATVs with Walker Fowler over the years, Caleb Russell on the two-wheel side, where when the guy is winning all the time, maybe it gets kind of redundant, but it's one of those things you just watch and you've got to appreciate it because you're watching maybe arguably the greatest ever work on their craft out there, and it's pretty something special that we get to watch it.
Well, and even getting to walk through the staging areas, the riders were starting to pick their gate out and stuff like that. There was a couple of people, you know, Jeffrey Rastrelli, I'll be the first to say, man had a 1,000-yard stare going on. He was locked in, wasn't smiling, wasn't talking. Meanwhile, Joel Hetrick's tapping his buddies, talking to competition. Seemed like he was very lighthearted and not feeling any pressure coming here in round 1. Seems like that lightheartedness is carrying well, keeping him light on that Phoenix Racing Yamaha.
Another lap for him completed. I believe that lap 7, yes. So the North Carolina rider turning and burning. Bryce Ford 2.9 seconds back in second.
Not seeing too much movement here through the field. 2 seconds and then a big gap back to the third place spot. Chad Wienen 8 seconds behind Bryce Ford. Then 1.3, 2.3, and 1.6. So third through fifth or sixth or so, maybe a little bit closer, but your top two starting to break away. Got to give some credit to Bryce Ford, keeping it within 3 seconds of Joel Hetrick at the moment.
So taking a look here, this is going to be an 18-minute plus 1 lap main event here for our ATV Supercross. So quite a while to go still left in this one.
Yeah, we're going to find out who's been eating the Wheaties in the offseason, putting the time in the gym all day long. It's been doing damage early. Sets you up so much better for the rest of the day. And Hetrick doing just that right now as he continues to put some time on the rest of the field. Now 3.5 seconds in front of Bryce Ford.
absolutely flying a 102.0 still. Even as his time drops, going to be the fastest person on the track there for Joel Hetrick.
And we'll probably start to see that as this gap continues to grow. The closer and closer it gets to the 5-second mark, you got to think maybe Hetrick going to back it down just a little bit. Those last 2 laps of the heat race, you saw him a 1.5 seconds slower than he was in those sprint laps. He's very intelligent on the racetrack. He knows where the competition's at, and he knows how hard he needs to push at all times.
Man, Zach, did you see how high up on that berm
I don't think that was by design.
No, by no means.
So Hetrick showing he is still pushing it right now. He wants to try to get the job done and put some distance between himself and the rest of the pack.
Yeah, Hop skipping his way to the finish line here.
Confirmation on Joey Norris. It is. Grew up racing at Fast Tracks in Ohio. That's owned by the Bickley family, which I believe is Levi Cohen's parents. And this is Joey's pro debut. And we've seen some great things out of him over the years. And up into the top 10 in the 7th place position. Pretty good start to the pro debut for Joey Norris.
Yeah, no doubt. That's the way to get things started off. Round number 1.
Hetrick, poetry in motion right now as he makes his way around. Bryce Ford still got him in sight, but not able to do anything with it.
And watching Bryce Ford on screen now.
Yeah, you see how hard he's trying to get slowed down over that wall jump. A few times he jumped just a little long, and you could see the how hard that impact was. The body kind of folding up as he hit the ground. But Hetrick, everything from takeoffs to landings to corners, he just seems to be hitting his marks. I mean, we say it all the time. It almost sounds cliche, but every corner, every jump, he just seems to be doing them almost perfectly.
Yeah, no doubt. He has this machine dialed in, as does Bryce Ford as well. You can see on Racer TV here just how well those machines are working and just how well they know how to make them work.
Yeah, and you got to think Hetrick at this point just over 4 seconds out in front. He's backed it down just a little bit. He's not on the, look at that, on the pipe. He's setting the machine up in the air. I mean, this is feeling the flow at its finest. I don't think Hetrick is doing anything that he's not comfortable with. Don't think he's taking any chances, just trying to bring home and start the season off right.
Yep, trying to continue the streak here as we start off the 2025 season, the 11th annual ATV Supercross, round number 1 of the year.
Taking a look a little further back in our top 10, it looks like Kevin Saar is right on Jeffrey Rastrelli. 0.8 seconds, the gap between 6th and 5th place. Would love to see a nice fight for that top 5 position. See if we can catch him on this wide shot. There you see Hetrick and Ford, a pretty big gap now back to Chad Wienen.
And I believe you're going to see your leader on screen once again.
So going to continue to watch the split between the 5th and 6th place. Kevin Saar trying to put the pressure on Jeffrey Rastrelli. They check in 0.6 now. He has not lost an inch, actually 0.2 of a second faster on that last lap. Kevin Saar able to close the gap down even more, and that's got to be less than a bike length. That might have been them that just went over the finish there, Jackson.
Yeah, that is there's a pack of 3 of them. Norris only 0.7 seconds behind Saar.
Wow, so look at this. We could have a fight on our hands.
And we do. Here it is.
Wow, up the inside. There it is. A pass made in the bowl corner just by this Racer TV truck. Launches out on the double. Hard on the brakes over that wall jump. And looks like that might have been Norris getting around Saar.
It was.
So we'll see whether or not he's able to now set his sights on Jeffrey Rastrelli for the 5th place position.
So taking a look now, I do believe this is
couldn't quite see the number on
Joey Norris there
jersey.
In the orange gear.
Yeah, there's Rastrelli in red with Norris charging hard behind. Says, oh man, Mikey Waynes was talking about me. I got to get going.
And Kevin Saar going to be right there in that blue and orange. I do believe it is. Hard to tell here on Racer TV. The blue and orange gear going to belong to Kevin Saar.
No, the blue and orange going to belong to Joey Norris.
Joey Norris going to be here in that orange gear right behind us.
Yes, correct. Okay, I see what you're talking about. Yes, sir. And look at that. I thought Sarr was going to fall off the back of this pack. He's actually latched on to the back of Joey Norris. So we're going to try to re-find a way around the 900. Bryce Ford maintaining the gap. 5 seconds now between Hetrick and Ford. And here we go. Rastrelli, heard in that interview, just wants to try to get through this race clean.
Well, he's got the young gun, Joey Norris, right here behind. Wanting up into that top 5 position here at round number 1.
Yeah, and they're running just about a minute lap time, so 13 laps complete, about 13 minutes into the 18-minute plus 1 lap. So maybe 5 to 6 laps still remaining. We'll have to wait and see exactly how the time breaks down. Don't forget that first lap, Jackson, a little bit shorter due to not going through the pro section. So we'll watch and wait. This guy, I don't think he's worried about it. He says, you guys make it 28 minutes for all I care. I'm feeling great right now.
Yeah, no doubt. He is dialed in here today. Crosses the finish line once again. Now going to be 14 laps complete. So just a little over 14 minutes into this one. Bryce Ford going to check in still in that number 2 spot. There he is on screen in the bright yellow gear.
Ford staying attacking right now, not settling in. Chad Wienen got a fair amount of time in front of him and a decent amount behind him. 14 seconds behind of Ford, 5 seconds ahead of Hogue. So we're starting to see some separation now. Rastrelli has pulled it back out over a second on Joey Norris, and then another second back to Kevin Sarr.
Wesley Wolf going to check in, still holding on to that 8th place spot. Jaden Launderville in 9th, and Max Lindquist is going to round out our top 10 positions here at the completion of lap number 14.
Yeah, Hetrick definitely has backed it down just a tick, a 103.2 and then a 103.4 for Bryce Ford. So got to think that Hetrick knows he's got a little room to play with and is able to manage.
And through the pro rhythm section they go. Triple there for Joel Hetrick. And now he's going to make his way through this sand section, maintaining around a 6-second gap on Bryce Ford, your 2nd place there on the number 4 machine.
Man, Joel Hetrick already thinking about that podium interview we've got coming up after the race.
In the Mobile One victory lane, by the way. Don't forget about that.
Absolutely.
We'll be interviewing. We'll get Zach Heron down there. We'll get interviews with our top 3 out of today. And right now, looking like that man is going to be Joel Hetrick, at least taking up one of those spots and trying to be center of the box there in Mobile One victory lane.
And not only just me and the boys, we can have everybody come hang out with us.
By the way, that was an open invitation as well. So pack those stands there in the Mobile One victory lane. Post-race. Not post-haste, post-race. I think it's the same thing, probably.
Be post-haste once we see that checkered flag.
Yeah. It's been a long 4 days. Well, 5 days. How long have we been on the road? I've lost track at this point.
I don't know where I am.
Zach, you've really been like Arena Cross, GNCC. You went to Supercross Saturday night. You got amateur Ricky Carmichael's amateur Supercross, Vintage Day, ATV MX. Stick around, do flat track.
Yeah, why not? I want to thank all my sponsors: Hall's Cough Drops, Throat Spray, everybody involved here.
Pickle Juice.
Yeah, absolutely.
The secret drink of announcers everywhere. And athletes, too. Come on, guys. Good electrolytes.
Yep. We cramp, too.
That's right.
It helps. Joel Hetrick, he's been drinking the pickle juice or something because he ain't cramping. And, man, continuing, let's see, another 103.5. He's just knocking these 103 downs, Jackson, like it's nothing. And I think that's kind of one of the sprint paces for Ford and the rest of the field. And for Hetrick, this is just can turn it lap after lap after lap.
He's just a gnarly dude, no doubt. He is absolutely on it here for the past few years. Like we said, a perfect season there in 2024. Finishing it out last year at Loretta Lynn's, actually able to announce that one as well. Got to see it live and in person. It was quite the sight to see. Joel Hetrick saying, I don't even want to talk about it beforehand, man, not until it happens. And sure enough, it did happen, and he did go undefeated in the 2024 season, and I'm sure Mikey he is looking to do it again here in 2025.
Yeah, keep the good times rolling there. And yeah, Joel has just been sensational since he took that #1 plate. Been absolute wrecking ball in ATV-MX. Fun to watch him work. Fans make some noise for the man.
Getting down to the nitty-gritty in this one as we come around now for 18 laps complete. And Mikey, we should be expecting a white flag anytime.
Yep.
Now look at that, right on time. Joel Hetrick takes the white flag. One more lap to go here for the North Carolina native, and he will be on his way to a win here at round 1 of the ATV MX series.
Phoenix Racing Yamaha team going to be very happy about this start to the season, picking up where he left off last year. Bryce Ford, sitting in that 2 spot, has checked in about 7 seconds back and waiting on Chad Wienen. There he is. Chad Wienen checks in the #3 spot, about 17 seconds off the pace of Bryce Ford. So yeah, Joel Hetrick, just you look at the race and you really can't pick anything apart as far as how to improve. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. He's been near perfect from the drop of the gate. And don't forget, folks, Zach Herron is heading down to Mobile One Victory Lane, and you guys can make your way there as well. After the checkered flag flies, we'll get our top 3 riders over there. We will pop some bottles and have a celebration. Give these guys a chance to talk about the race. And there it is. The checkered flag flies, and Joel Hetrick continues that perfect streak from last year here into 2025. He will take a win out of Daytona, and most importantly, the points lead.
Bryce Ford checks in that 2nd place position. And now waiting for our 3rd place, see if Chad Wienen is going to be able to hold on to it. It does look like he will.
Yeah, so Hetrick, Ford, and Wienen going to be making their way to Mobile One Victory Lane, where Zach Herron will stand by with the interview.